So I just got this email literally within the last 5 minutes from the American Psychological Association, and they are lying to you about what Donald Trump is banning when he has banned critical race theory in the federal government and in all government contractors. So let's take a look at this breaking news, if you will, this news release from the American Psychological Association. APA decries administration's orders to restrict federal diversity training aimed at denying well-documented systemic inequities, APA president says. I'm going to stop you right there, APA president. What are the well-documented systemic inequities? I will be expecting an answer to that question in this news release, since it is literally in your flipping headline. The following statement by Sandra L. Shulman, PhD. PhD, that means you know what well-documented means, right, Sandra? President of the American Psychological Association, regarding the Trump administration's multiple efforts to restrict certain topics in employee diversity and inclusion training for federal agency, contractors, grant recipients, and the military. It's not certain topics. It is well defined in the executive order. I have covered on this channel what is clearly outlined in the executive order, which is essentially, I'll give you the too long didn't watch or read answer. What they are banning is training that teaches people that one race is superior to another race and that people are racist purely based on the color of their skin. Do you think that all white people are racist? Well, if the answer to that question is no, then you want this training banned, because that is literally what this training teaches. Do you believe that anyone who is not white is not capable of adhering to things like schedules or telling time or writing things down? If the answer to that question is no, then you do not want critical race theory taught, because those are exactly the things that critical race theory teaches. Let's keep going. President Trump doubled down on the plan during the first presidential debate, asserting that he is ending these trainings because they are racist, and that is because they are. American Psychological Association, they are racist because you are making determinations about the capabilities of individuals based purely on the color of their skin. That is literally what critical race theory does. This is very clearly outlined in the executive order. These orders are about much more than restricting diversity training. Nope, they're not. And this is not diversity training, by the way. There are many diversity trainings that have nothing to do with critical race theory. They are aimed at denying the well-documented systemic inequities that exist in America. Our nation must lead the way to reducing racism and inequalities through training and education, rather than undermining much-needed work to address the results of decades of systemic discrimination, to silence trained professionals working to correct systems and policies that produce inequity is unjustified. And you'll notice that Sandra, Dr. Sandra, so she knows better than this, that Sandra has not given us one example, not one, of systemic inequities that exist. The playing field is not level for all Americans. Access to opportunity and quality of employment, housing, food, education, public safety, and healthcare are unequal depending on your zip code. Well, that has nothing to do with race, does it, Sandra? Because Sandra, are you assuming that all black people live in poorer zip codes and that all white people live in wealthy zip codes? Is that what's being assumed here, Sandra? I don't know. Because if that's what's being assumed, I think that sounds pretty, dare I say, racist. The COVID-19 pandemic, which has disproportionately affected communities of color, is just the latest example of this reality. The cause of these inequities is both systemic and interpersonal. Research-based diversity training is an important tool that can help organizations and individuals better understand and address the critical problems facing America. You know what? I'm going to throw her a bone. Sandra is absolutely right. Research-based diversity trainings are an important tool that can help organizations and individuals understand and address the critical problems facing America. I completely agree with that sentence. The problem is that critical race theory is not a research-based Diversity training, it is not. There is no research to back up the effectiveness of critical race theory. Even Robin DiAngelo, in her own book, has 2 chapters in which she is outlining how she does her workplace training around critical race theory, in which she cites zero academic sources. There is no research basis that this is an effective training because it is inherently racist. That is why this matters. Actively working to undermine or destabilize efforts to correct inequalities is both illogical and deplorable. Oh, she went there, Sandra. Come on. Rather than halt diversity training, he's not halting diversity training. Not all diversity training is based on critical race theory. Rather than halt diversity training, we should expand the ranks of those who do this work and ensure that all organizations have access to evidence-based training interventions. Yes, Sandra, I will agree with you on that as well. We should make sure all organizations have access to evidence-based training interventions, except, as I've already explained, you have zero evidence. Zero. None. To back up that critical race theory actually works. And if you did, you would probably have presented it in this here press release. There is an urgent need for us to address the reality of our times, working to raise awareness and begin to correct the systemic inequities in our society and keeping our most cherished American values of equality and fairness. So that's the position of the APA. Listen, guys, I've talked about on this channel how the APA has gone totally woke at this point, and this is actually a very, very big problem because the APA is the accrediting body for college programs in psychology. So what that means is that if you want to become a licensed therapist, a licensed clinician, I'm very lucky. I'm a psychologist, but I don't practice the type of psychology that I need the APA's, blessing for. I don't need a license to practice the psychology I do because I don't do counseling, I don't do clinical work, I work with businesses. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people need to be licensed in order to practice, and for that, you need to go through an APA accredited program, and that's what actually makes this terrifying for me. They are going to kill off the field of psychology with this nonsense. They're going to absolutely kill it because you cannot get a credential to be able to practice as a psychologist unless you play the little game that the APA wants you to create. I don't know what to do about that problem right now other than to tell people, and I get emails all the time from people in these programs saying, Carlin, I don't know how much more of this woke nonsense I can take. I'm sorry, man. Grit your teeth, get through the program, get the credential, and then get out into the real world and do good work. That's really all you can do. It's not a great answer, but at least you do have a light at the end of the tunnel because really, once you're there, you don't have to listen. I barely even keep in touch with the APA. I don't even listen to them at all. I'm sure they're going to be unsubscribing me from their email list after this. But, you can go out and do good work without listening to the woke nonsense. But we do have another problem here, though, and this is a problem that I really think we need to start taking more seriously, evidenced by the fact that no one in the first presidential debate knew what critical race theory was. No one knew what it was. Trump didn't know what it was. Biden didn't know what it was. Chris Wallace didn't know what it was. Maybe they knew what it was in some abstract way, but none of them could articulate what this is. And this is a problem because, listen, as much as I adore James Lindsay and his work, and I truly, truly do, he is an invaluable member fighting this absurd mind virus. He is absolutely critical. He doesn't always explain things clearly and concisely. So we need to start coming up with an explanation for what critical race theory is, just as an introduction. This does not have to be the be-all and the end-all, but we have to get people in a really simple way to understand that this is not diversity training. This is not racial sensitivity training. Critical race theory is racist. So I sent out a tweet earlier today. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on it. Please leave a comment below telling me what you think. Here is my best stab at a very simple introductory statement about what critical race theory is. Critical race theory is the belief that the most important thing about a person is the color of their skin, and that we should treat people differently based purely on their race without regard to the content of their character. That is my clear, concise statement. And then we can go and have all sorts of conversations about what does that mean? What does that mean in practice? To treat people differently based purely on the color of their skin rather than the content of their character. And I really do think that this gets at the heart, this gets at the meat of what this ideology is trying to argue. So please leave your thoughts below. I would love to get your feedback. All right, guys, that's all I've got for this one. Just a really quick update because I wanted to talk about the email I just got in my inbox. If you enjoyed these videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. I post daily content around a variety of issues. Sometimes I do good news, things that make me happy, bad news, things that make me mad, stupid news, SJW crazy. I post a lot about critical race theory. I've got lots of different types of segments, so I'm sure if you enjoyed this video, some of them will pique your interest as well. That's all I've got for right now. I'll see you soon.